Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This is What If Deku had a telekinesis quirk. So All Might and Inko would have married and have a son. Um, the son would have been named Izuku Midoriya, and they would be very happy that Izuku was born. And um, when he was growing up, he showed signs of having a quirk. So uh, Izuku, All Might, and Inko decided to go to the court doctor, and the court doctor would see Deku and would say, "Ah, I have some great news. Deku has a telekinesis quirk." All Might and Inko would be very happy to know Deku has a quirk, and a very strong quirk at that. And Inko would start training Izuku on how to use his quirk. Um, Izuku would be very happy that he was training with his quirk, as he would show off what he can do to his friends, what he can do as he lifted up some rocks without touching it, basically. Bakugo would be happy to see Deku having a quirk, but he would say, "You have a pretty cool quirk, Izuku, but not as good as mine." And a couple of years would have gone by. Deku would have trained with All Might, so he would be physically also very powerful. And All Might would give one for all to Deku when he was 11. I would say. Deku could use full count 20%, no, 10% when he was 11, and he would continue training on his quirk and his physical form. And this is the last year of middle school. Um, his teacher would hand out papers on what his students would do, but throw out saying, "You all want to be heroes, so this is useless." And uh, the teacher would say, "And there are two people that are trying to go into UA," and the students would say, let me guess, it's Deku and Bakugo, isn't it?" The teacher would say, "Ah, caught on." And with Deku having a pretty powerful telekinesis quirk, unlike his mom, unlike his mother, who can only lift up small things, while Deku could lift up pretty much anything he wanted, but not everything. Like, um, he couldn't lift up heavier objects, so yeah, doesn't have problem lifting up number of things, but he would have problem lifting up things that were very, very heavy, like a truck, you would say. Deku would have gone under the bridge, trying to reach to it because it was a shortcut to his home. um, as a slime monster would appear out of nowhere in front of Deku and would say, "I this would make a great host for me, and I will finally escape that uh, from that annoying hero All Might." As the slime monster trying to um, get into Izuku's body, Izuku uses quirk and would splatter him around the bridge. And after he splattered him, he would use his telekinesis quirk to get him into the bottle, basically. All Might would jump out saying, "I am here," as All Might would say, "Oh, Izuku, you are here too. Did you happen to see a slime monster here?" As Deku would, "Oh yeah, here," and he would toss the ball to All Might, saying, "Oh, here's the bottle where the slime monster is." All Might would say, "Oh, and thanks, and get home quickly, son." And Deku would say, "All right, lad, bye." And Deku would head home, and All Might would jump, and that would happen. And a couple of weeks would have passed, and the entrance exam for the UA would have started. Um, um, Deku would have been trained. Deku would have cleaned the beach with his telekinesis core and with his physical powers after training, and would clear the beach in pretty fast, and would be able to use one for all to 20%. And Deku would have been, and Deku would go towards the entrance exam. Deku would have, you could say, pass in the written exam, not with flying colors, but would have passed. And now comes the practical test. Um, as President Mike would say, this is the practical part of the. This is the practical part. There would be three robots. One pointer, two pointer, and three pointer. As President Mike was saying this, um, Ida would stand up and say, "Hey, there are four robots showing here, and if this is a mistake, I'm very disappointed." As Izuku stand up and say, "Shut up! He didn't even get to finish. He didn't even finish to explaining this." As Ida would get sit down and Prison Max say, "Thank you, whoever that is," and would explain, "Yes, there is another robot, a zero pointer, and there's no, and in every sector there is one zero pointer, and this is, and you don't, and defeating the zero pointer would give you 0 points if that wasn't obvious." And the practical and the door would open as Izuku would storm off, and using his telekinesis quirk would fly off and destroy as many robots as he possibly could see. And Prince Mike would say, "You, there's no countdown. Follow that kid's lead. Go, go, go!" As everybody would run off, Deku would have already stacked up points after points, and whenever somebody was in trouble, he would obviously destroy the robot, getting even more points and some rescue points. As Deku would have accumulating points, he would be roughly around 1,000. And Deku Countless would say, I think I have gained enough points to pass. Let's just sit." And Deku would go on top of a building and seeing whatever was happening. As he would also get some rescue points while he was on there destroying robots when somebody was in trouble, and everybody would run away after something. Izuku getting to the ground would ask somebody, "What? Why are you all running away?" As one of them would say, "There's a huge robot. There's a zero pointer coming," and Deku would trying to test out his abilities would go off to the direction where the zero pointer was coming from. As Deku would, as Deku was going over to the where the zero pointer was, he would see a girl buried inside some rocks. As Deku would lift off the rocks and would toss it aside and save the girl, which is Uraraka, would save Uraraka and the zero pointer would arrive and would try to throw a punch as Deku would stop it and would jump up and would crush the zero pointer's head. As the zero pointers gone down, everybody would be shocked as, oh, he has some pretty good powers, pretty good quirk. As they would, other students would stack up points after points, Uraga thanking Deku as they would exchange names as, "I'm Deku and thanks for no, um, I'm Uraka. Thanks for saving me. And can I get a name?" Deku would say, "Yeah, I'm Deku." Or Izuku Midoriya, as that would and the exam would be over, as Deku would go home and his mom would ask, "How did the exam go? Entrance exam go?" Well, Deku would say, "It was good. I guess I'll pass." As Deku, as the Inko would say, "Okay." As a couple of weeks would have gone by, Deku would train in these few days. A few days would have gone past, and Deku would have trained in these past few days, and a letter would arrive from UA saying, "You pass." Deku would be happy that he passed, would say, "I passed, mom," as his mom would be always happy, and Deku would arrive. Deku would go towards his first day in UA, as U as Deku was going to the UA towards his class. While he was trying to open the door to UA, sorry, sorry about that. Um, would when he was trying to open the door, a girl would approach him and would say, "Oh, you are Izuku, aren't you?" And Deku would see, "Oh, yes," and "Oh, you are the girl that I saved in the exam," as would say, "Yeah," and Deku would open the door as everybody as they would um, catch everybody's attention uh, as one of the students would say, "Oh, it's him. Aren't you the one that had over 1,000 points?" As Deku would say, "Oh yeah," and everybody would say, "Whoa, how the hell did you do that?" As one of the students were asking this, Aizawa would come and say, "Hey, if you don't shut up," and they would all shut up and get to their seats, and I would say, "You took 8 seconds to shut up. Not good enough. Now wear this and come towards the ground." As Mina would say, "Well, what about orientation?" I would say, "We don't have time for all those events, useless events." As everybody would wear their uniforms and head to the grounds. As Aiza would hand over a ball to Izuku and would say, "You are the first one, so throw this with your quirk." As Deku would throw up, and it would go mm, to 2,000 meters, and I would say, "Wait, what? Whoa, that's a lot." And I would say, "Oh, okay, next one." As Mina would say, "Hey, this is fun," and as I would say, "All right, if this is fun, then I will have a then there is a catch. Whoever comes last in these tests would be expelled from UA." And say, "That's not fair." As um, so it's like, "You think this is not fair?" And give us this whole lecture that I don't remember, and the test would happen. Bell would either no, uh, Deku would come first or second in every test, and that would happen. And Mineta would be last place, so he would be expelled. And Momo was like, "Wait, you were serious about that?" As I said, "Yeah," and that would happen, and the day would have passed, and the next day, they were all in the classroom and they see the door open, and All Might would come up and say, "I'm running to the door like a normal person," and everybody would say, "Wait, All Might is here," and Deku would say, "Oh, hey Dad, I didn't know you were here," as everybody would be surprised as, "Wait, he's Izuku, All Might, wait, what? What's happening?" As All Might would explain, "Oh yeah, he's my son." Um, as they would be even more surprised as, "Wait, wait, they won't have any words to explain or describe." As All Might would say, "All right then, today's class would be about heroes versus villains," and the one of them would ask, "Wait, what's that?" As as All Might would explain what was happening, as he would say, "It's a sport, or it's a sport that is." I don't need to explain it if you have watched the anime. As uh, as All Might would explain, and he would say, "What's a hero without a costume?" And All Might would hit a button, and the closets would show up with all their costumes. And All Might would say, "Wear these and come up to the place I say." as they would wear the costumes and would go towards where the heroes versus villains were was being held. As as Deku would still have the same costume he had in the original, like this one, and yes, he has full cow, 20% power. He can control it. 20% he can control one for all 20% basically. So if that I hadn't made that, if I hadn't said that, so okay, let's get back on. Um, uh, Deku and Uraraka versus Bakugo and Ida would be happening, and um, All Might would say the first one to hit, to touch or immobile the villains would win, and if the villains and immobile heroes, the villains would win. As as All Might would explain this, and those two would go hide as Bell and Uraka would be standing outside the building. All Might would say, "Go!" as as Bell as Deku and Uraka would go, and Bakugo would have a surprise attack. As Deku, seeing this, would stop Bakugo in his tracks and would smack him towards the and with his cork would send him flying towards the window and no, towards the window. And just before he was about to smash it, he stopped and put the tape over Bakugo, incapacitating him. And Bakugo was, oh, god damn it, Deku. You'll pay for this. As Deku gives him a chop in the neck, and Bakugo faints, basically. And Deku and Uraka would head towards where Ida was, and Uraka would be a distraction and would no, um, Deku would just levitate Ida and would just touch the bomb, and all might say heroes win, as that would happen all as the original, and a couple of days would have passed, and Aiza would say, okay then, now we're going towards the USJ, get in the bus, wear the uniform and get in the bus. As they would head towards the bus and go towards the USJ, starting to explain how dangerous quirks can be and all that happened in the original. As Kirishima would point out, oh, they have fake villains here as well. Aizawa and 13 was the no would say, wait, what? And they would turn around to see a huge portal opening up and villains coming out of it. As Aiza would say, those are not fake villains. As Aiza was trying to go, and Bell will say, let me handle this, teacher. Um, as Bill would point out his hand, and every villain would start to levitate, and basically would no, us. God, what the hell is? I can talk. Deku would basically not basically throw everybody inside, would toss every villain aside, and the curious no, Shigaraki would be would be scratching and would say, "No, you're cheating, Nomu, get him!" As the Nomu charges towards Deku. Deku, seeing this, would go full cow and would dodge out of the way as Aizawa would nullify whatever the Nobu's quirks are, and Deku would use 100% of his power, or 100%, and would try to smash it, but to his no effect, as Sigurati would say, "Huh, the Nomu skin is tough. You can't even put a dent on it." As no, Deku would say, "Oh shit, I'm screwed. I'm so screwed." As Ida would have gone to call out the teachers and informing the teachers what happening. Um, am I recording? Yes, I'm recording. As would go towards would have gone off and would have informed the teachers. All Might, after hearing this, would uh, All Might would be the first to know this, as All Might would have rushed to the USJ. While and we cut back towards um, Deku fighting Nomu. The Nomu would kind of smacks Deku, and Deku would go off flying towards the wall, as and he would cough up some blood as a that thing is kind of tough, as he wipes out his mouth, and then I guess I have no choice. Deku would say, one for all, 100%, as one as Deku's one last ditch effort would try to punch the Nomu, but no, she would say. Then I said that skin is tough, as Deku would do. One for all, 100%, and would punch the Nomu, and the Nomu would block this and would be pushed back some meters, as Shiraku would be surprised as the kid actually pushed Nomu back. Interesting, interesting. As while this was happening, Bell's no, Deku's arm would be all broken, as Nomu trying well, as Nomu um would try to punch us. Deku, All Might would show up and say, "I'm here," and would punch the Nomu, and the Nomu would have gone sent flying towards the wall, and uh, and all as All Might would say, Deku, Deku, are you all right? As Deku said, "Yeah, I'm all right, Dad." As All Might wouldn't have his injury, so he would have been able to take care of the Nomu pretty quickly. And I will just say that um, all for one, or all for one, or one for all for one. What was his name? I think yeah, it is all for one. Would be pretty damaged as well, but he wouldn't have been able to cause that injury to All Might, and All Might wouldn't have that injury. So he would have been able to defeat the Nomu pretty quickly. And after defeating the Nomu, Shigaraki, Kurogiri seeing this, uh, Kurogiri seeing All Might would say to Shigaraki, "We should probably leave." As Shigaraki and Kurogiri leave through the portal, and all the other teachers would come towards the USJ and would see all the villains knocked out, as Deku would have been able to knock out all the villains, but on he wouldn't have been able to defeat the Nomu, because the Nomu was tough, very tough. As with Deku's current power level, he can't defeat uh, the Nomu basically. All Might would have defeated him, and All Might would take him towards Recovery Gall. As Recovery Gall would prom and would heal Deku's arm, and everything would happen, and now we cut back to the UA Sports Festival, as Aiza would say what the UA Sports Festival is, and everybody would be watching, and yeah, all with everything would happen like that, as the UA Sports Festival would happen. Deku and the US Sports Festival would start, as Midnight would ask the UA Class 1 UA first year representative, as Deku would come into stage and sorry about that, um, would say, "We are gonna win," and a huge yelling would happen, and yeah, and the first event would be Midnight announces what the first event is, as the first event was about an obstacle course, and the first one to and the people top 40 who pass uh, who go who pass the obstacle course would go on to event number 2, as everybody would go on to the starting position, and Bell would start using, and Midnight say go, as um, Deku would use his telekinesis and would fly, and under a minute he would have been able to complete um, the obstacle course. As Midnight would say, the first one to reach the finish line is Deku or Izuku Midoriya. As everybody was like, wait, what? How far? How did he did that so quickly? As Shoto would be second and Bakugo would be third, and all the original would happen, and even number 2 would be the cavalry battle. As Midnight would say, this is the cavalry battle. Um, the point of this event is to grab the other person's headphone, no, headband, and the first one, or Izuku Midoriya, the first place winner of the first event, would have 1,000,000 points, and the ones that has over a certain amount of points would win. As everybody would see Deku menacingly, and Deku would be kind of feeling that, okay, I'm kind of screwed if I don't find a team. Um, and Deku would ask around, but everybody would say, no, we don't want to take risks, and Deku would be all alone in this one, in this event, as uh, as Deku would start use, and the event number and Midnight would say begin, as Deku would use his quirk, would use his telekinesis, and would start to fly. As Deku was flying, nobody could reach him, not even Bakugo using his explosion quirk, and Orochi using her gravity quirk, as Deku would have gone pretty high up. So other teams would say, "Ah, missed the chance of getting the 1,000,000 points." As as the original would happen, the 16 who passed the original would pass, and Deku would be first still, as the third event would have begun, which would be 1v1, and the first one to do the 1v1 would be Deku and um, uh, Shiro, and the first battle is going to be about Deku versus Shinso. As as the as one of the participants would say, be careful about that guy. Don't speak up, basically, otherwise he would put you in a mind control state. As Deku would see, all right then, and both would head on towards the stage. As Shinso would start um, talking trash talk, but Deku wouldn't say anything and just would hold out his hand and would just push Shinso out of the stage, and Midnight say, and there we have our winner. The winner of the first match is Deku Izuku Midoriya. Um, and the second match is gonna be Deku versus Todoroki. While the this was happening, Deku would go down, and he would find out Endeavor and would say, make sure he uses his fire side. Deku would say, I don't take orders from you. As Endeavor would be pissed on hearing this result, but would just shrug it off as brat. As the battle between Shota Todoroki versus Izuku Midoriya will start. As Izuku would say, this is gonna be pretty easy if you don't use your fire quirk, you know? As Shota or Todoroki would say, wait, what? As Deku would say, I mean, come on, I can do this easily. And if you just use 50% of your power, that won't be any fun, will it? As Todoroki will hear this, will say, alright then, I will show you my fire side, I'll show my full power. As As Toroki would create a giant ice wall, Deku would dodge this out of the way and starts to fly, as he would say, "All right, then, since you just use your um, ice half, um, I guess this would be pretty easy." As he holds out his hand, and Todoroki, not wanting this, would kind of go up in fire, and he would start to use his fire quirk, as he would throw a giant fireball onto where Deku is, and Deku would move out the way and would get behind him and would just say these final words to Todoroki before ending this match. Remember, Todoroki, this is your quirk, not your father's, as Deku would just push him out of the way. This push, I'm just gonna name it Shinra Tensei. If you have watched Naruto, you would know. Basically, it's an almighty push. Basically, it will push the target. Basically, it will push the target with no cooldown, basically. As Deku says Shinra Tensei, and Todoroki would be out of the out the stage and would crash onto a wall and would would pass out. And Midnight would say, and the winner of the second quarterfinal, first match of the quarterfinals would be Deku, right? No, Deku. No, Midnight would say, um, Deku wins, and the final match would be between Deku Izuku Midoriya versus um, Bakugo. Um, Bakugo, not wanting to get out of the match instantly, would create a big explosion, blinding Deku, as Bakugo would come up behind him and would just punch him. Izuku, seeing this, would just say, "Ah, lucky punch," as before saying, "Almighty push," as Bakugo would go flying towards the wall, and that'd be the end of the final match, as Midnight would say. And the winner of the sports festival is Izuku Midoriya. And the second place winner is Bakugo. And third one is Shota Todoroki. And Bakugo would be tied down to a chains as usual. All Might would, and yeah. And this is where I'm gonna end off this what if. Thank you all for listening.